Welcome everyone to our Advances in Dementia Research webinar series that is presented by the Toronto Dementia Research Alliance in partnership with the Alzheimer Society of Toronto. My name is Julie Wong and I am one of your two hosts today. This series discusses recent updates in dementia research and highlights dementia research studies that are occurring across Toronto. A little bit of housekeeping before we start with the session. I am going to ask that you keep yourselves on mute. Please feel free as you're listening to the presentation to submit your questions, and we'll try to get to as many as we can. The session will be recorded and posted on both the AST YouTube channel as well as the TDRA website. So I am going to ask that you refrain from posting any personalized information in the chat. For those who are unfamiliar with the Alzheimer Society of Toronto, I wanted to provide you with a little bit of information. So AST, in short, provides information, education, and support to people who are living with dementia, their family and friends, healthcare professionals, as well as the general public within the M postal code. Even though we are called the Alzheimer Society, we service all dementias, and a diagnosis is not required to access our programs and services. Our services are offered in person as well as virtually through Zoom and the ALS Educate e-learning platform. So to learn more about what we have to offer, please visit our website at www.alz.to and take a look at our calendar of events for upcoming offerings. I'd like to tell you a little bit about our partner, the Toronto Dementia Research Alliance, or in short, the TDRA. Established in 2012, Toronto Dementia Research Alliance is a collaboration amongst the University of Toronto, Baycrest, the Centre for Addiction and Mental Health, Ontario Shores Centre for Mental Health Sciences, Sunnybrook, and the University Health Network. Together with its partners, TDRA aims to strengthen the link between basic science and clinical research to better understand, prevent, and treat dementia. So I'd like to hand it to my partner, Natalie Dren from the TDRA, to tell you a little bit more.
Thanks, Julie, and thank you to everyone who joined today.
Yeah.
It was part of our education.
Access to your camera for the best experience.
No.
You'll have to unmute yourself, Natalie.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Sorry about that. Okay. So as part of our outreach and community education, AST and TDRA developed a plain language research studies portal. So until July of this year, it was hosted on the Toronto Dementia Network. We have now relaunched it on TDRA's main website under the heading Participate in Research. Working with our lived experience panel and web developers, we improved the accessibility and ease of use. The portal lists dementia-related research studies taking place in Toronto at TDRA partner sites. Those are all hospitals that we partner with. All studies are led by TDRA-affiliated scientists. They're reviewed and approved by what's called the Research Ethics Board, and they're described in simple, clear terms. So you can connect directly with the study teams to express interest and learn whether you are eligible. There are opportunities for people living with dementia, people with mild cognitive impairment, those at risk for dementia, caregivers, and healthy volunteers. So for more information, you can visit the website shown here in blue or scan the QR code. I will also share the link in the chat right now, so you can click on it there. Okay, we can go to the next slide. Okay. Great. So on the website, there are two main pathways. First, you can browse for a study on your own, and when you find one you're interested in, you can fill out the contact form to be connected with the research team who will enroll you in the study if you're eligible. Or at the bottom here, if you're not sure where to start, you can fill out a questionnaire to be matched to a study, and any of the information you enter will be securely stored and protected. And next slide. Great. So this is what the website looks like. To find studies, you can use the search bar circled in red. You can type a keyword like virtual reality, apply filters, or do both to narrow your results. You can also use the quick search buttons in the light blue boxes, which group studies by topic. And if you're not sure where to start, you can complete a short questionnaire and someone will help match you to a study. To do that, you would click Match Me to a Study in the green box or scroll all the way to the bottom of the page and click the blue button that says Can't Find a Study You're Interested in. And both of those options will take you to the same questionnaire. Each study summary explains what the study is about, who can participate, where it takes place, and how much time is involved, all in plain language. The study we are discussing today is also listed on the portal, so you'll be able to read more and connect directly with the study team there. And I will put the link again in the chat so you can check out the study directly. So we'll go to the next slide. Okay, so please welcome Dr. Harmehr Sekhon, who is an assistant professor at McGill University and an associate scientist at St. Mary's Research Center. She directs the Geriatric Innovation Research Lab, which develops and tests technology-based tools such as virtual reality and telehealth to improve diagnosis, treatment, and quality of life for older adults living with dementia and other mental health challenges. Her research aims to integrate these digital innovations into everyday care to support healthy aging. So thank you for being here and welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm going to try to share my PowerPoint here, and I'm hoping that it works well. With a technology talk, it's always a little nerve-wracking. Can everyone see my PowerPoint?
Yes.
Okay. Excellent. And can everyone hear me okay?
Yep, can hear you.
Excellent. Okay. Well, thank you so very much for having me here today. It's a real pleasure to be speaking to you all. Over the course of the next hour or just under here, I hope to be able to provide you with an overview of nature-based interventions or the benefits of nature. And then I also hope to be able to share with you an ongoing study that my team has at CAMH, and then ending off with some questions if there are any. So with that, I'd like to begin just talking a little bit about nature and the benefit of nature. So it might not come as a surprise to any of you, but the time that we spend in nature or the time that we spend in green spaces has a benefit to us as humans. And this is really for all people, irrespective of age, irrespective of illnesses. There is a benefit to nature to humans. And we know that studies have shown that every few minutes in nature actually counts. So it's not that we have to spend necessarily an hour going for a hike. There's, of course, additional benefits based on how long you're in nature, but we know that even a short amount of time spent in green spaces in nature is really beneficial to us. One study actually found that spending about 2 hours or about 120 minutes a week roughly is the sweet spot. So that's a really good time frame that if you spend in nature, you're really able to get the most benefits in terms of your mental health, your well-being, and your physical health as well. But other studies have shown that as little as 10-minute increments can actually help us. So that means even spending 10 minutes, in a green park, in a green space, in a forest, somewhere, with water. And to me, that's the definition of nature that I'm going to be using in this talk. So when we talk about nature, it can be a green space such as, a forest, it can be wilderness, but it can also be smaller green spaces in more urban locations as well. And we'll talk a little bit more about those as time goes on here as well. But what do we know in terms of the health benefits of spending time in nature? Well, we know that actually spending some time in nature can help us with our mood. It can help us with our mental health. So it can help us with things such as stress, with anxiety, with depression, or symptoms of those. And then it can also help us just regulating how we're feeling. So, for our day to day, how are we doing? How's our internal kind of regulation of our own mood? But also our well-being. there's other benefits for nature as well. So we see things such as sleep can be improved. So spending time in nature is directly associated with improved sleep. And then overall stress as well. So that's a little bit of a background here as we think about nature and the benefits there. Sorry, I'm just letting people into the Zoom at the same time. Now, when we talk specifically for older adults and spending time in nature, what does that do for them? So there's been studies that have shown that the amount of time that individuals spend in nature or any exposure to nature is actually correlated with physical activity as well. So it can help us, to want to do activities such as taking a walk, perhaps wanting to garden, to do other physical activities in green spaces. So that's really beneficial for us. It also is actually shown to reduce loneliness, which is really interesting. So, a study found that green spaces actually helps to want us to interact with individuals, to have social engagement, in which in turn can help decrease loneliness and help reduce social isolation. So that's really beneficial there as well. And then, like we discussed previously, being in nature, being in green spaces can really help to improve our mood, to make us feel better in that way, and to reduce things such as stress. So that's really beneficial for older adults as well, that literature has found. So that means studies have found that, having exposure to these green spaces can actually can do that. And in terms of, without getting into the weeds of it too much, but when we look at literature around time spent in green spaces or time spent in nature and stress, what they've actually noted is the reduction in stress was not only the stress that we feel that we can perhaps indicate on a questionnaire on a scale, but it actually also reduces our physiological stress. And what that means is the stress that our body is feeling, and oftentimes that can be measured through different things, but it can be measured through, blood pressure. It can be measured through our salivary cortisol. It can be measured through other kind of physical measurements there as well, through heart variability and so forth. And they found that time in green spaces in nature actually reduces the physiological or the biological, if you will, indicators of stress as well. So not only is it helping our feelings of being stressed, but it's actually also helping our body to feel less stress from a physiological standpoint. So it's really, really beneficial for us. And these benefits for nature actually, like we just discussed, not only are they for older adults, but also for individuals with dementia. So dementia, which encompasses Alzheimer's, vascular dementia, and so forth. There's been studies that have shown that time spent in green spaces can actually help individuals with dementia experiencing, mental health symptoms. So there's a term coined essentially called behavioral and psychological symptoms of dementia, or BPSD, which essentially entails things such as mood, agitation, depression, and so forth. And I just wanted to share that term briefly because you might see it come up, but essentially all that term means, all that BPSD or behavioral and psychological symptoms of dementia means is agitation, mood, such as depression, so behavioral symptoms or behavioral components of dementia. And what research has found is that nature is actually able to help with some of these symptoms of BPSD. So it's actually been shown to help reduce, for example, agitation and aggression, which is a component of BPSD, but also helps to improve mood. So like we discussed, helping to improve, depressive symptoms, helping to improve stress and anxiety and so forth. And that's actually true for individuals with dementia as well. It's also seen to improve sleep, which is really interesting. So it's helped to improve the quality of the sleep patterns, and so forth, which can sometimes be affected for individuals with dementia. And so that's really positive to know that green spaces or nature can improve that as well. And there's an overall benefit to being in nature because the sight of nature and the sound's actually a really important component, and I'll get into that a little bit. But being in nature can actually help the cognitive functioning as well. So in terms of, if cognition was assessed on a scale, there might be a small improvement seen there. And so nature can help in that as well. And what's really interesting is that studies have shown, when we're in a green space, yes, the sight of being in nature is really helpful to us, but actually the sounds as well. So, I mean, I think we all can probably agree to this when we're on a walk by the water. The sound of water is something that's really calming. It's very relaxing. And oftentimes in our research, our participants will share with us that they really enjoy that component. They really enjoy being able to hear water, and they'd like to see more of that. So sounds are actually super important. Also things such as, hearing the wind through some trees, through some leaves. That's really beneficial as well. People really enjoy that experience, hearing birds, hearing other animals. And so it's the overall experience there that you have. It's not only just the visual. And this is important because I'm going to get into a little bit about the study that we're doing currently and how we've tried to integrate this as well. But essentially, having that overall experience also helps to bring back positive memories. So we'll often have that in our day-to-day lives, where we might see something or hear something, and it's going to help us recall a positive memory. So, we might walk into a cafe and smell coffee, and that might remind us of our friend who we always have a coffee with. So our brain helps to make those connections and to, trigger those positive memories for us. And so with nature as well, we have that benefit of having had positive experiences and time spent in it, perhaps with a family member or a friend or ourselves. And so that's an additional benefit there as well. So those sensory elements are very, very key, in fact. In terms of the therapeutic benefits of nature, it's being understood much more widely. We also recognize that physical activity can have a great benefit, and oftentimes when we're in nature, we have that benefit as well of taking a walk, going on a hike, biking, etc. And so those all come together, but it's one of the additional just components and tools of how do we live, a healthy and happy life? How do we, enjoy ourselves and help improve our mood as one of those components? So a little bit of background there. Now, as I talk a little bit to you about nature and the benefits, I think we would all agree that, it's wonderful and being out in nature is lovely and it can be a great experience, but there's also limitations and barriers to it. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about them. And really why we're doing the study that we are is because our group has been talking a little bit about, we have all these great benefits, but sometimes there's reasons we can't get out in nature or reasons that nature is just not available to us in that moment. And so I want to talk to you a little bit about these. So one, with all of my research and my work is with older adults. So overall, though, we have to think about the fact that there's accessibility issues. So sometimes we might live in a very urban space. So a space that, perhaps doesn't have a lot of green spaces, a lot of, forests, a lot of wilderness, and the parks might be smaller. There might still be a very busy road next to it and so forth. So that's one limitation potentially being able to get to these spaces. So although there might be, High Park or something else that's not too far from us, figuring out how to, how do we get there in terms of transportation safely, that's another limitation or a barrier. Living in Canada, being from Toronto, Mississauga myself, we have wonderful summers and springs and falls, but our winters are quite harsh. So how do we get out there and enjoy nature? Not to say that, there isn't a great deal of benefit of being on the ski slopes, but it's quite restrictive because we can't necessarily, go out and take our walks and our hikes the same way that we can in our summer and spring and fall. So that's a limitation for us, specifically in Canada as well. And then also just considering safety. So, for all of us, how do we ensure that we minimize risks of falls, tripping hazards, things of that component? Also, especially for individuals with mobility aids, how do we ensure that a space is walker friendly or cane friendly? And so those are some of the considerations that went into when we were thinking about how can we have the most benefit possible from something like nature while ensuring that we can address or mitigate many of these barriers. And so that was one of our considerations when we were going about designing this study. So essentially, I'm going to talk a little bit about virtual reality. And before I do, I wanted to just explain what virtual reality is. And I'll get into a little bit more about how we use it in this specific project. But I did want to start with an overall understanding of what virtual reality is. So, virtual reality, or is short for VR, the letters V and R often seen, is essentially an immersive 360-degree technology. It's a technology that uses both an audio and a visual component. So what that means is when you're in VR or virtual reality, you're seeing an image or a video, but you're also able to hear the sound from it as well. And in terms of the way that VR is, you'll see some pictures up ahead, but it's typically a headset that goes on to your face. You can actually wear it over glasses. I wear it over my glasses all the time. So it's a headset that you can put on, and then you're able to be immersed in this digital, field. So you're able to see like a photo or an image or a video essentially, and that's what you're immersed into. And so it's a really interesting piece of technology because it's so portable. So with VR, we can be in any space and use VR. It does require an internet connection, so that's the limitation of it. But it's something that we don't need, to connect to any sort of computer or to be, connected into any other sort of technology piece. You can charge the device similar to a cell phone, and then you can use it until the battery drains. You can charge it again. So quite simple in that capacity. And so for our study, as we go forward, I'm going to be talking about VR. And I did want to note a few things about it, which one of which is that in our study, we only ask individuals to use VR while they're seated. This is just for safety and because our study is remotely done. So that means people at home get to do it. So they don't have to come in person at all, which is really nice, especially in the colder months. So there's no, repeat visits to CAMH for the study. And throughout the whole study, we have a team member present with them to be helping them with any sort of technical issues, to help them, sign on to the VR, to learn how to use the VR with the digital literacy and so forth. So, in a nutshell, we've tried to really create an intervention that can be done from your own home or from any setting that can use and leverage the benefits of nature while being in a setting that isn't dependent on the weather, isn't dependent on transportation or traveling to the nature and so forth. And we'd like to explore potentially how this would benefit individuals. So talking a little bit more about VR and nature and some of the potential benefits there. As I shared with you, the VR environment is actually both a visual experience, but also an auditory experience. And so in the VR, you can actually hear, for example, the birds and the water. You're able to really get the full experience of being, in a forest, as an example. Some of the benefits that VR or virtual reality or VR overall is that it can really help to bring focus to the moment. So it can be really hard. For example, we've done some work with mindfulness previously with virtual reality, and we know there's a lot of benefits to mindfulness or meditation, but it can be really hard to do that with all the different thoughts that come up in our mind or the busyness of an environment or our day. And so being able to use something like virtual reality that's very immersive and almost blocks off, other sensory images, it can help you to really focus on that present moment. Um, and it's a portable device that can really be used from any location. And it's previously been used with both older adults and individuals with dementia. And so it's shown to be usable and feasible with them, and overall rather safe. Very few negative side effects of eye strain, headaches, and very minimal side effects of that nature. But in our studies, we've been very fortunate to have not had these side effects. So it's overall a piece of technology that we'd like to leverage and try to use. So before I get into the study too much, I do want to talk about just the benefits of virtual nature. So there's been studies already done overall with adults and children, very few studies with older adults, unfortunately, and especially older adults with dementia. We're hoping to bridge that gap ourselves. But essentially finding that even virtually being in a nature setting or virtually experiencing a nature setting can help to still improve mental health and well-being and reduce stress, which is really positive, because that means that we can still use some of the benefits of nature, while helping to bridge those barriers or accessibility issues. And then also the flexibility of the intervention, right? It's by using virtual, what do you call it? By delivering it virtually, by delivering nature virtually, we're able to be very flexible. So any time of day, any time of season, you're really able to access nature, and it can be something that's very beneficial. So we're looking to see if there's a specific additional benefit of virtual reality in nature, and that's going to be some of the work that we do, but specifically looking at feasibility. How can we use VR remotely at home, with individuals with dementia, for example, and are we able to do this very feasibly, and what are the benefits to them with nature there? Overall, I always like to talk a little bit about technology in older adults, also because oftentimes in my work, being a researcher that works with technology-based interventions for older adults, I'll hear sometimes, that well, do we want technology? Are we able to use it, and so forth? And it's really exciting because we see that, especially post-COVID, more individuals would like to have virtual care, while doing it in a way that's accessible. They're learning how to use the interface or the technology, and they'd like to learn more about it. And one of the things that I've really heard is just people feeling that they're perhaps not digitally savvy or knowing how to use it, but they're open to learning. And so that's something that we've really considered in what we've designed here. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the fact that, firstly, no one needs to know how to use virtual reality. If this is your first time hearing the word or you've never used it before, that's absolutely okay. In our other studies that we've done with virtual reality, we've had individuals who've never used it and they've learned how to use it over the course of the study, and that's okay. That's designed so that no one needs to know how to use it coming in. But we're going to talk a little bit more about the study here. So just to start off and introduce the study, our study is called the Nature-Based Virtual Reality Intervention for Depression in Individuals with Alzheimer's Dementia. And essentially, we're trying to see if a virtual reality-based nature intervention can help reduce symptoms of depression, so depressive symptoms, in individuals with Alzheimer's. And we're really interested and keen to learn about the feasibility specifically. So can we use virtual reality remotely, or just remotely in homes, so in people's homes, without us being there, without them coming in to see us in person? Can we do this with individuals with Alzheimer's? And the reason that we're really interested in knowing this is because learning if this is feasible would open the door for other interventions, for care, and for future uses of virtual reality. And so it's really important for us to understand Is this something that can be used? What would we need to improve? And go from there. And our team before has already assessed the remote use of virtual reality with older adults. Some of them did have cognitive impairments, but not all of them. So this study specifically is to take it to specifically a population of older or individuals with Alzheimer's. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about our study and inclusion criteria as well. But before I move forward, I just want to say thank you to our whole research team, because as you know, research is very collaborative and there's a lot of wonderful, wonderful people supporting us. And one of the special components of our research is that we have our older adults and caregiver research advisory group that have helped us to, give us really critical feedback on the components that we've created, and just want to say thank you to them. So I'm going to move forward, but I just want to also mention that, we love working with individuals in all of our research. So if there's anyone at all today that's interested, or if you know someone that might be interested in working with us on the research that we do, helping provide us with feedback and so forth, I would absolutely love to connect with you. I'm going to share my email at the end of this PowerPoint. But also feel free to, you can find my website and my email online as well. And I'm sure Julie and Natalie and other colleagues can also share my email with you as well if you reach out to them. So please do not hesitate to reach out at all. I would very much love to connect with you. So let me tell you a little bit more about our study. And I think it's a really exciting study. I'm of course biased, but I think we have a really, really exciting study here. And so essentially the study being done at CAMH, or the Center for Addictions and Mental Health in Toronto, is a study assessing the use of virtual reality to deliver a nature-based intervention with the goal of seeing if it can improve or impact depressive symptoms in individuals with Alzheimer's disease. And in order to participate in the study, individuals need to be over the age of 50. There does need to be a caregiver present at home, and this is just for safety to make sure that, while they're in VR, they're safe and there's someone present with them. And the study would happen in a way that it's completely remote. So it's a 4-week study. And at the beginning of the study, we would reach out to you, share more information, answer any questions that you may have. We would also complete the consent process. So that's where we explain more about the study and then ask if you would consent to participate. Once we have completed those stages, we would actually send you all the technology. So we would deliver it to you. So you don't have to come in to collect any of the technology yourself. Once you've received the technology, we would actually teach you how to use everything with a digital literacy session. So that's where we just work with you one-on-one. All of the study sessions or meetings are one-on-one. It's just you with a research team member. It's not a big group. And so what that really allows is you can really ask your questions one-on-one, and we tailor it so that we're really working with you. If you have a little bit of experience with certain technologies, we can start with where you're at. And if you have no experience with the technologies, that's okay. That's actually what we've created this intervention around. It's to work with someone who's never used virtual reality before. But essentially, if you decided to be part of the study and you were, you consented and you met the criteria, you would then take part in a 4-week study where twice a week you would first of all, you'd be randomized either to the virtual reality intervention or to a control group of nature-based YouTube videos. So you would still get an intervention of nature. Each session is actually meant to only be 15 minutes in length. And that's very specific, where we're really looking to see if a short duration can make an improvement there. So for those 15 minutes, you would either watch a video of nature. So it can, like you've seen some photos here, it might be a forest, it might be somewhere by the water, or you would be in VR and experiencing a nature-based activity. And then you would also be collecting some data about your fitness. So we would look at, we would be providing you with a Fitbit for the duration of the study as well. We would be looking at, how many steps are you getting in a day, things of that nature. And then also we're using Muse to look at the calmness. So how does nature calm you? So that's another piece of technology that's very interesting that we'll be collecting data from as well. And caregivers have the opportunity to also participate if they would like. They do need to be present for the interventions, as I had shared earlier. So in a nutshell, your participation in the study would be 4 weeks, 2 sessions a week, with 15 minutes of the intervention at each session. So that means a total of you would have 8 sessions in total over a 4-week period, and that's what the study would entail. This is just providing you with some more information of what I just shared about being, once you're consented, you're being shared the technology, doing the digital literacy component, and so forth. I'm going to skip this just I think we're getting close to time, so I'm going to skip over this. Just some study goals that I wanted to share with you to help you understand why are we doing this this research project and what our goals here are. So we're looking to work with about 50 participants, so 50 individuals with Alzheimer's, and then also caregivers if they'd like to participate. And then we're also going to be collecting some feedback from you. So we'd like to hear what you liked about the virtual reality and what you didn't, what can be improved. The main goal of this is, as I shared, in the future, if we use virtual reality for other interventions, for other reasons as well, we'd like to understand how can we improve it and tailor it specifically to you, to individuals with Alzheimer's. And that's the goal here. And so our primary outcome here is going to be to understand if it's feasible to use virtual reality, and specifically this nature-based virtual reality intervention at home remotely with individuals with Alzheimer's. And then also to look at the effect of it. So how does it impact depressive symptoms? How does it impact mood, quality of life, as an example of some of the outcomes there? And I really want to reassure you, because it's one of the big feedbacks that we always get. It's, it sounds like such an interesting study. I really want to do it, but I've never used virtual reality before. Is that going to be an issue? And it really, really isn't, because we've designed this to really start from scratch. We're going to teach you how to use it, and we will be with you at every single session. So in all 8 of those sessions that I just talked about, you're never doing it alone. There's always a research team member there with you on WebEx. They're teaching you how to do it. If you have any issues at all, we're present, able to answer questions and to troubleshoot. And just from previous studies that I've done with virtual reality remotely, yes, we've had minor technical issues with, perhaps the sound or the visual isn't working, but we've never had a big enough technical issue that we couldn't finish the session. So people are really able to learn and able to use VR very proficiently by the end of the study. And so that's really, really beneficial as well. And I just wanted to remind you again that we're going to be sharing all the information with you. If you're interested in the study, you can reach out to us, and we'll actually share more about the study, answer any questions that you have as well. But I'm going to share with you my email, so you're welcome to reach out to me there. And it's a completely remote study. And there's also a small reimbursement just for your time to say thank you through the, a small gift card as well. And so we would be able to share that with you as well. So thank you so very much. I'm gonna just say some thanks here because we are being very kindly supported actually by the Alzheimer Society of Canada and by CAMH. We have an award from both of them for this study. And so we're only able to carry out the work that we do because of this wonderful support. And so I'd like to say thanks to them. And then as I shared with you, I'm going to show you my email here. So you're very welcome to email me if you have any questions or you're interested in this study specifically. But also if you would like to discuss other research that we do, I'm the director of the Jerry Tech Research Innovation Lab, or the GIRL Lab as we like to call it. And we work with technology-based interventions for older adults. So we do different types of interventions, and we're always looking for individuals if they'd like to work with us on designing research on giving us feedback. That's always great. So if you go to our website, which is just Jerry Tech, you'll see a contact me page. You're welcome to send me a note there, or you're very welcome to email me directly as well, whatever you'd prefer. And I'd just like to say thanks for allowing me to share some of our exciting work here today, and also to share a little bit more about, the benefits of nature and how we can use it to be, our best selves. So with that, I'll open the floor for any questions if there are any. I think we've got some time, which is good. I'm on time today, Julie, right? I did well.
You did fantastic. You did